said everything's fine. Except for being fat. That's about it. We do. Yes. Yeah, got World Football. It's coming up.
No, Carrie's definitely out, and I guess Jace is going to be out.
Well done, guys.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Carson Beckman, please. In the first half. For the first time. But,
It is?
took a lot more risk
9.
than he did in the regular season. Well, he was playing against the first time.
That's sweet.
It showed.
Is it the greenhouse?
He was not. Now, when they switched, those two, in the second half, they switched them. He did much better in the second half. But in the first half, we were like going, why would you even waste the scholarship on him? And then if they get this Arch Manning kid, all them will be on this. This is what I've told everybody. Arch Manning's going to go to the exact same school that Peyton and Eli.
This is Councilman.
They're going to
I left my phone on the back of
whoever
the
they
counter.
feel is the best person to develop him as a quarterback. I mean, that's what both of the Mannings went. They went to Cutcliffe. Had Cutcliffe. And so the Mannings will find who it is. Personally, I think, although they're
Yeah, I hear you.
type whatsoever, personally, I think he's going to end up inside the county before he's proven he developed a pro quarterback.
Oh, we got a full house now.
Mayor might go to school. Well, we'll call you up if you just want to be yelled at. You know, we can have a yelling
So
session.
David went crazy for us. I don't know if that was originally on his plan, but he said he was going to
He
Mount
told,
Rushmore. And I said, you need to go crazy. To me, that was more impressive than Mount Rushmore. It was impressive, but it was just.
yeah, Creighton it's still a work in progress.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to park it now. We're going to get a special variance.
Yeah, we'll get a variant. We'll change the ordinance to allow porta potty trailers downtown.
Permanently.
Yeah. Well, that way, if they get dirty, you don't even have to clean them. You just drive them away.
I might set a service. We get those little lovable leaves and rent them out.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Shower, you reckon there's a lovable leaf?
I want the plants when they dig them up. I've already been eyeing those. It's like when they put that back, I want those plants.
There you go. I think the second. Not yet.
Tossing trash. I ain't looked at it yet, but I got one.
Oh, you want that?
Engineering, you're going to be at Max.
We're going to learn about power or engineering.
Yeah. You got the annual power bill? Annual power?
It's wonderful. It has, it does lots of data. Oh, much more than that.
Yeah.
There's actually a middle thing you can do with lights. It explains it. Yeah.
We got about 30 seconds. So please make sure your microphones are on.
Guess I need to.
I'm going to make sure Carrie's is off.
All right, we'll get serious here for a minute.
Yes, please. Thank you.
right, y'all ready? Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you will please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Bow with me as we pray. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. I'm just thankful for the beautiful weather you've given us today, even with the showers. And as we look forward to the summer months, as many of our residents will be traveling, we just ask that you would give them safety on the road and bring them back to us throughout the summer and just watch over us. We thank you for this opportunity to come and do the business of the city and this opportunity to make life great here in Cartersville, Georgia. So go before us and give us wisdom and knowledge as we make these decisions, and we'll give you the praise and glory for it. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Drake, the roll, please.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Jay Stepp, Ward 2. Carrie Roth, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5.
Here.
Taft Wren, Ward 6.
Here. Thank you, Julia. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from May 19th, and council given an opportunity to look these over in advance of this evening, and now would be the time to make any edits, if any are to be had, and if there are none, a motion to approve would be in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Mr. Porter, get us started out.
Yes, Mayor. First item is Cartersville Building Authority appointments. Jerry Mile and Fred Stent terms are up, but they'd like to continue serving in that till new term, if approved, be May 15th, 2026.
Questions, comments, or motions?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Menino, good evening to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The terms of Christine Brown and Rick Koloff on the Alcohol Control Board, their terms are expiring. Christine Brown is Ward 4, Rick Koloff, Ward 6. Additionally, the Ward 5 appointment, Courtney Holtman, he has resigned, and it is recommended that Matt Terry take his place. That is the Ward 5.
Councilman
appointment.
Fox has recommended that.
That is correct.
Matt Terry takes the floor.
They're all recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And the term of Lamar Penley, he has a 2-year term on the Board of Zoning Appeals, is expiring. That is the mayor's appointment. With that, he is willing to continue to serve if reappointed.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We'll start with AZ 2202. Randy?
Yes. Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This property has been properly posted and advertised. This is a proposed de-annexation. This is a second reading. There have been no changes since the first reading. If you recall, the county's, there will be a county development, a townhome type development going adjacent to this. They would like to add this parcel to it. It doesn't work in the city because of the narrowness. There was one caveat. There is an agreement for a gas line easement to extend through the property. That was on the previous conditions when it was zoned in the city. The applicant and the county have both said they would move that agreement forward and make sure that that gas line easement is provided.
Okay.
Planning Commission did recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Randy on this item at this time? Thank you, sir. I'll open up a public hearing for AZ 22-02 and ask anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against to do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for AZ 22-02 and turn it over to council for any further discussion or consideration.
I'll make a motion to de-annex the property referred to as AZ 22-02. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Menino, if you'll get us with Z2201.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor and Council. This is a proposed rezoning of 103.85 acres from R20 single-family residential to RA12 residential attached for townhomes. The applicant is proposing 199 lot townhome development. David, during the first reading, gave you a lot of history on this. There hasn't been many changes since the first reading. The applicant has noted that they do have a new site plan that they'd like to present, or a little more detail. And additionally, the applicant did clarify that it would be 40% 40% 3 bedrooms and 60% 2 bedrooms. Those were the only new notes since the first reading. Planning Commission did recommend denial of this application. If you choose to move forward and accept or approve the application, staff did have some recommended conditions that would carry forward from the previous zoning that came up during the Planning Commission hearing, and we did discuss during the first reading. So I don't know if y'all want me to recap those, but again, they're the conditions that are already on there basically, and it would carry forward additional gas easement through the adjacent I-75 property, and additionally that it would carry forward a access to Center Road condition that was on the previous zoning.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Are there any other questions for Randy at this time? Thank you. I'll open up a public hearing for Z22-01 and ask anybody who wishes to come forward to speak for or against to do so at this time. And again, your name and your address for our clerk, please. And Ms. Drake, you have a sign-up sheet outside as well. If you'll please make note of that out there, just makes it better for her to keep those records. Good evening.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Rob McPherson. I reside at H62 Devonwood Trail, Marietta, Georgia 30064. I work with Prime Engineering, and we represent the owner, Merrill Properties. Harrison Merrill Jr. is here tonight to answer any questions you may have for him. Just wanted to point just a couple things since our last meeting. We tried to follow up on some of the comments here to try to address any concerns that you may have, and I'd like to present those here on the slide, so just a minute. Some of these slides are a repeat from last year, so we'll sort of skip those. Excuse me, from 2 weeks ago. Next slide. Just wanted to reiterate this. The site that we're talking about is the one that is hatched. It's red hatched with yellow. You can see the property in purple to the north. That is the same property of the previous zoning that you're looking at. It is virtually the same zoning that we're asking for, which is an R12. It's a senior, I think it's a senior type facility with quadplexes, townhomes, apartment type living. We have heavy industrial to our northwest in the red. To the immediately adjacent to us is the RA12, the exact same zoning that we're requesting. And then to the south across the street is R10 single family, and on the other side of Interstate 75 is R10 single family zoning. So we feel like what we're asking for really sort of fits in between what's below us and what is much higher density to, or equal density to our north. Next slide. Just to highlight a couple of things that came up. First of all, there's a request for the 50-foot easement along I-75. We will provide that for the utilities, for future utilities that the city may want to install along that corridor. Water pressure service was an issue. We designed this site so that our finished floor elevation will be at 1030. That is 70 feet below the maximum service level, which is 1100. This makes it so that any faucet, any shower head or anything in the house will be a maximum of about 1050, which again is 50 feet below, which is right in line with what the water department has requested. We have addressed the access road that is in green that goes up to the cell tower. We've talked to the attorney that represents them and assured them we will make this connection, create a paved street for them instead of virtually a Jeep trail that they have now. The grades will be much more traversable for access to the cell tower, and I think they're completely satisfied with what we're providing. And the last thing is, this is it is a steep property, and it makes it difficult to develop. And that's, you can sort of see we have this fairly big piece of property. Everything that's below the blue line is really the area that we're working within. Next slide. Main thing to point out here is you know, it's 103 plus acres. The disturbed area is only 35. The housing area is 28 acres. So when you look at that, that really gets down to 1.9 units per acre for the whole piece, and then 7.1 acres, which is where the townhomes, which is still well below the 12 units per acre allowed. Next slide. We are asking for single family attached. The minimum lot size, 2,000 square foot, meets the code. You'll see that this site plan is just slightly different than the other one. What we did is we went in and we showed the green lots being 2,000 square foot or more, or at the minimum. And you can see that there is land both, you know, behind the units and between the units, and that 2,000 minimum square foot requirement will be easily satisfied. The minimum 1,000 square feet for heated floor space, again, that's a code requirement. Not a problem. These units will be at least that size. 199 units. One change that we did make, I'm sorry, I'll come back to that in a minute. The other was a 60-40 split. We're fine with that split to keep 2 bedrooms to 3 bedroom ratio. Next slide. We did tweak the site plan just a little bit, as I talked about in terms of lot size, but we also were able to get in one road between the 2 streets. If you'll see that right, as you come off Center Road, you come up the road and immediately on the left is the 4 red units. And then we added a little drive through there. And we thought that this would help with some of the safety and security concerns for emergency personnel. Instead of having to go all the way up the road, make a U-turn and come all the way back down by getting this little connector road in there, it's at a 14% grade, which is a very navigable grade for vehicles and fire trucks and emergency vehicles, so that now we only have about 400 or 500 feet there at the entrance where we only have that single drive. So we think we've reduced some of the emergency concerns by adding that connector piece. Some of the comments and concerns were about traffic. The city engineer, I think, addressed the traffic concerns. He felt like that we were well below. We actually went up and did some counts. At the entrance of the subdivision, about 2.5 cars per minute coming in front. So it's not like a huge amount of vehicles. We also checked the signal. We got, there was a little bit after really probably the peak, but there were no vehicles spending more than 1 cycle time at the light, which I know is of concern. And I think also the Public Works Director stated that we could also talk to GDOT in the future if that wait line becomes too much longer. I could see where it might get to two cycles, but I don't see that it would go more than 2 at a peak time. We also did reach out to the school system to try to get a letter from them, and they indicated that they did not provide letters of either that would oppose or support the rezoning. And you know, other than that, we did a little more research in that they are building a new elementary school for K through 2, I believe. It's supposed to open in August 23. That's well before we're going to be able to get houses probably built and in place, but then you have the existing schools that are in the system now. And I think that hopefully what we've tried to do is address any of the concerns that there may be regarding the conditions or impacts that we might have on the community. We want it to be a positive impact. We want to build a really good product in here and have something that everybody's proud of. And with
Mr.
that,
McPherson, the topography challenge, I know one of the things that we talked about last time was I guess the need to get variances to have the garages on the front of the facility. You said you'd kind of take a look and see.
yeah, we
Something
did.
you're going to have to vary.
We did look at that, and in order to get rear entry, it makes they allow you to move the unit closer to the street, okay, which means you can move it up right closer to the sidewalk along the main street, and then you take your vehicle, you go behind the unit. You have to have that space for that alley and for the turning movement to get in there. With the slope differential going between the street that you sort of see, the long street on the right and the long street on the left, we have, you know, like 50-foot difference in grade. Mm-hmm. And in order to get that additional space in there, it's going to require us to put in a good bit of retaining walls. which drives the cost up and makes it more difficult to construct. And so that's, ideally, we would like to go back, ask for that. That'd be the only variance that we would try to seek, instead of having rear entry, move the units away from the street so that we have full space for a parking unit in front of the unit, between the unit and the sidewalk, which prevents any vehicles from parking. Really, it eliminates the street parking, which is probably one of the biggest concerns from emergency access with townhomes. We can also probably even add some additional parking spaces in the gaps between the units for visitor parking if we needed to add more. But we realize that's a variance that we have to go to the variance board to request, but we need to get it rezoned first.
Okay.
But that would be the only item that we know of right now that would be any variance that we would be asking.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at this time?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we'll continue the public hearing for Z2201 and ask anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against to do so at this time.
Mayor and Council, my name is Robert Walker. I'm an attorney here at Jenkins, Bowen and Walker. My office is at 15 South Public Square. I also live here in town at 87 Glen Cove Drive. I wanted to step up here and reiterate what we did during the last public hearing. And I represent, by the way, Tilly Properties, Inc., who is the property owner that owns the property that's to the west of this tract and is the property that is to be served by this access road that was referred to during the presentation. The prior rezoning of the property in 2018 contained a condition that the owner or developer leave in place this unnamed county service road, or that they provide alternative access to Center Road for my client's property. As the developer has indicated, they have indicated to us they're willing to do that. We don't necessarily oppose the rezoning, but we want to make sure that if the rezoning is approved, that it carries forth that condition, includes that condition as a part of the rezoning, that access, that county service road either be left in place or that alternative access be provided.
Thank you. Mr. Lovell, can we condition that?
Yes, that condition is already on the property, and it is one of the conditions that staff has recommended be added if you do vote in favor of it. I think there were about six total conditions that staff recommend.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, we'll continue with Z2201 and ask anybody wishing to step forward, speak for or against, to do so at this time. And seeing none, I will close the public hearing for Z2201 and turn it over to council for further discussions, questions, or for consideration.
I'll make a motion to deny the rezoning of the property referenced as Z22-01.
Second.
All right, there's a motion, a second. All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries to deny the application 22-01. Mr. Reinhardt, you're up next with our budget ordinance.
Oh, presentation. I'm excited.
Honorable Mayor and Council, tonight is the first reading of the fiscal year 2022-23 budget. We got a short slide presentation to go through. Next. The overall budget increased from last year by $22,021,065. This represents a 13.98% increase. Highlights of the budget is as follows. Continues the 10-year capital plan. There's an increase in water and sewer rates, increase in solid waste rates, increase in electric rates. There's a slight increase in property taxes, as we will be using the 2.91 mils from 2021. Includes salary increases. The old pension plan contribution remains at 34.5%. Increase to the transfers in to the general fund from water, gas, stormwater, fiber, and electric funds. Incorporate your goals from the visioning session and continues the capital funding of major capital expenditures in all funds. Couple highlights on this. I won't go through all of it. Some of the major increases in the revenue, general fund and special revenues increases by about $9.9 million. Electric fund increases by $1.9 million. Gas fund increases $5 million. Water and sewer increases $4 million. And SPOS 2020 increases $245,000. Couple of points on this one. Personnel costs increased $2.4 million. Operating costs increased $3 million. Commodity purchases increased $4.2 million. Debt service increases $1.9 million. Capital increases $9.4 million. And transfers to the general fund increase just a little over $1 million. This slide illustrates by bar graph, illustrates where we've been, where we've been in the past as far as our budget is concerned. You can see in 2016, just a shade over 142 million. In 2019, it jumped up to almost 190 million, and in 2023, we're looking at a little shy of 180 million. Personnel costs, as I said earlier, it increases $2.4 million. We've added 10 new positions. There's a 6% across the board salary increase for all employees, with an additional 2.5% increase for police and fire. Increase in health care costs for both employer and employee. We've estimated about a 15% total increase. Includes no unfunded positions. And like I said earlier, the pension plan for the old plan remains at 34.5%. The new plan also remains at 8.5% where it currently is. Operating expenses have a net increase there with about $3.2 million. There's increases across all funds. Some of the major increases areas are utilities, communications, overall maintenance cost, supplies expense, fuel expense, vehicle maintenance, employee training, and legal services. Purchase of commodities increases about $4.2 million. The gas commodities increased $4.1 million, and the increase in electricity is about a little less than $100,000. The proposed budget also includes debt service increases there of about $2 million. It includes the Series 2018 water and sewer bond issue of $3.6 million. It includes a gas debt payment of about $800,000. Includes a TAD payment of $310,000. Includes Geo Parks and Recreation debt of $924,000, and includes the school system debt of $1.8 million. Some of the larger capital projects are included. Total increases in the capital projects is $9,400,000. We'll be buying police cars with DEA funds. The water and sewer projects total about $18.4 million. Gas projects include or total $6.3 million. The electric project capital is $4.5 million. We've got SPOS 2003 at $100,000, SPOS 2014 at $50,000, and SPOS 2020 at $2.8 million. The outside agency funding, you'll notice the first column is the requested at $1,030,000. We've actually got in there $967,500. That is the same dollar amount as but it's not. It did actually increase over last year by a little over $60 million.
60,000.
And finally, the fiscal year 2023 pie chart. You'll see that these general fund is at 19%, electric fund 30%. Gas fund at 19%, and water and sewer fund at 21%. These are pretty typical of how our budget currently and in the past has come out. And finally, in conclusion, the city is always looking for ways to continue to look for efficiencies. That's what we've always done. That's what we will continue to do. The increased transfers to the general fund from the water, fiber, and gas and electric funds have a slight increase in property taxes. Have increases in utility rates, and we will be doing a citywide AMI project, hopefully getting it started into 2023.
So I'm going to comment again on the term slight increase in property taxes, because people are going to hear that and they're going to think that there is no change in the millage rate, but the city's gotten bigger. The pie gets larger.
Correct.
We're not going to roll back because we need that to be able to provide those services. The state of Georgia requires us, if we take in 1 penny more than the previous year, despite the fact that we're a growing city, to consider that a tax increase. The state of Georgia can do that up to 6% and not call it a tax increase, but we got to play by those rules. So the millage rate is not going up. The city is growing, so we're not going to roll back. That's been a pretty consistent stance here for this council for the last few years, and I think that's the right course of action. But I just want to make sure that people understand that. We are not raising the millage rate. It is staying exactly where it is for the city M&O. So, there, get off the soapbox.
Thank you. Any questions?
Appreciate your work.
Yeah, I know, Tom, this is the first reading. I know you put a lot of work into this, and I appreciate all the department heads and council, because we did have a work session back in early May to go through this in more detail for the public standpoint. It is a large budget, but things, as everybody's seen, costs are increasing, but we're trying to hold the line as best as we can.
I just want to say that was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Again, this is a first reading of this budget ordinance. We'll take this up for final consideration our next meeting in June, the 16th. Thank you, Dan. All right, Tom, continue on with the first reading of the amendment to the utilities ordinance regarding solid waste.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, as you said, this is the first reading of the amendment to utility ordinance regarding solid waste rates. The proposed fiscal year 2023 budget includes an increase in the solid waste fund to help address the maintenance and capital needs of the solid waste fund. The increase is as follows. It's a $2.50 increase per month in the residential solid waste customers and a 10% increase per month in the commercial solid waste customers. Also, residential customers will no longer be required to purchase their solid waste carts, as the city will provide them one. Again, this is the first reading for this ordinance.
And in comparing us against other places, even with this rate increase, we're still $4 to $5 less per month. We provide much more services. We provide yard waste pickup. People don't even have to bag it up. Other places have limitations on that. What you have, we have backdoor service for those handicapped and elderly that we provide, as well as the other services at the solid waste pickup.
Leaf pickup?
Leaf pickup, yes, sir. So there are many services we provide, and the other changes Tom mentioned is we're not going to charge the residential golf cart or garbage cart anymore. And that's just a recommendation, recommend approval of this in second reading.
Thank you. Next item.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this is the first reading of ordinances to amend the utilities ordinance regarding water and sewer rates. The proposed fiscal year 2022-23 budget includes an increase in the water and sewer fund to help address the maintenance and capital needs of the water fund. The increase is as follows. There's a 2.5% increase in the residential, commercial, and industrial water and sewer rates for both inside and outside the city limits customers. The 2.5% increase will allow the water department to continue the maintenance of the existing water and sewer system, as well as any updates or expansions for the system to fulfill the needs of existing customers and new customers also. The total estimated increase for a residential water and sewer customer is $1.10, and this is based on a residential customer using 7,000 gallons of water. The amended ordinance also includes a new wholesale, if you will, rate class for water customers, which currently only includes the Bartow County water system as a customer. The wholesale and industrial classes are currently set at the same rate. If you're going to the next slide. With these increases, the water and sewer rates, the city of Cartersville residents will remain, as you can see on the far left-hand side, we will remain one of the lowest in the surrounding municipalities. The current Cartersville residential rate is $62.53, and the proposed is going to $63.63. The next lowest would be Dalton, and after that is the city of Cartersville, and then after that it jumps up into Cobb. Again, this is the first reading of this ordinance.
Thank you. So that 2.5% equates to about $1.10 per month per resident, using the standard usage.
For 7,000 gallons, yes.
Okay. Next item.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this is the first reading of the amendment to utilities ordinance regarding electricity rates. The proposed budget includes increases to electric rates. The electric department is proposing a rate increase based on the rate study provided by Electric Cities of Georgia due to general operations of the electric department increasing and the increased cost of Plant Vogtle Units 3 and 4 going online, soon to be hopefully. The proposed increases are necessary to sustain the electric department's expenditures. Along with the increases mentioned above, the cost of electric department's cost of electricity generation, i.e. coal and the use of coal and natural gas, have also increased. The proposed changes include an increase in the base rates to all rate classes. It also changes will occur in actual rates of each rate class. With the proposed changes, the electric rates, the estimated increase to residential user will be about $8 per month, and this is for someone, a resident who uses 1,000 kilowatt hours in a month. The average Cartersville resident, just as a side note, uses approximately 1,013 kilowatt hours per month. Going to the next slide. Even with the proposed rate increase, we should be below our only competitor, Georgia Power. Again, this is the first reading of this ordinance.
Okay.
As Mayor, as Tom presented that, we've been looking at this for a little while, trying to cover our costs. Obviously, you mentioned the operational costs, the power generation costs to get the power. The other thing that Georgia Power, they've been passing on the cost for their Plant Vogtle for about a decade, and theirs is they're allowed to do it as a separate on their bill. It's not part of the rate. So when we compare ours, we can't do a separate rider or charge without going through some changes at the state level or federal level on that.
Both.
So we're basically, ours are built in there. They have a separate line on there for the Plant Vogtle costs. Ours are, we have to pay for that additional cost, but eventually one day when Unit 3 is supposed to go on, Plant Vogtle Unit 3 is supposed to go on line now, it's March of 2023. Again, we've got to provide the power to our users, and this is one of those costs we have as power generation costs. It's one of those operating costs we have and reason for the rate increase.
Okay. Thank you. Other comments on other parts of the?
It's just all, I mean, I know Tom touched on the residential, but this is going to touch on all classes, commercial, industrial rates classes. So it's not just the residential. They're going to pass on these costs on because we spread it across the entire user base that we have.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Tom on any of the items we just went over?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morgan, you're up, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request from the Chamber for the Chamber Annual Barbecue. They're requesting to have a creation of a festival zone for June 23rd. That encompasses the area down by the depot and the Friendship Plaza. But to have that for June 23rd with also a rain date for June 30th. There's requesting that from Mayor and Council.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussion on this item? If there's none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. The second item is the updated architectural engineering contract for the Water Department Administration Complex. These fees were approved in the February 17th, 2022 meeting. This is after they've gathered the cost for the building and gone through some design. You can see some of the design elements there. But this request was a standard part of their fee structure, and we want to bring it back to council to ask for approval.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on this item? And this will look similar to the gas department with the exception of the no stack stone. Is that right?
Yes, sir. They're looking at doing a brick on the lower portion and doing the others.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Or if there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
The next item is the replacement of the drive-through for City Hall. That it has been in disrepair and has several different issues. We originally requested to look at replacing the video portion, but it was cheaper to replace the whole process. So we're requesting that replacement from ACG in the amount of $30,123. We did, of the budget, we did take from operating and reallocate that portion to a capital fund and asking for approval tonight to move forward with that contract.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Porta?
Yes, sir. The Rotary Club annual event, the July 4th celebration, Dillinger Park, is coming up, and we provide them a contribution for that, as well as some other items in there. One of the ones I would like to make a recommendation on is to change. They asked for 12 police officers. I've talked to the management company that operates this. They would be willing to change that to 6 police officers. So I would make the recommendation that if council does approve this, that change to be from 12 officers to 6 officers on the contract that the mayor would sign and the city clerk attest to.
Okay. Any discussion?
Why was it changed from 12 to 6?
We've basically, because of the number of officers we have available, we just want to make sure we're patrolling the streets and what's available for us. It'd be easier for Chief McCann to provide 6 officers, and the type of events going on there, it's not something that you need to have additional officers for.
Okay, I just noticed we've been having discussions about all these loonies, and that was something I was concerned, some things we was gonna do in the gathering that we was having, to make sure all the citizens was adequately protected, It was just something to consider.
Yes, sir. And there'll be other officers, patrolling the streets. If something were to occur, they would respond there as well. There'd just be 6 on site at the event, and then there'll be additional ones obviously patrolling the streets that would be able to respond if something were to occur.
I understand.
Okay. Any other questions? If there are none, motion's in order.
Motion to approve with the amendment to provide 6 officers instead of 12.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. This agreement is with a right-of-way acquisition consultant. It's to acquire some right-of-way for a stormwater project, and the total is $23,600, and this will be paid for with the ARPA funds.
Where's the physical location of this project?
Hasn't finally been decided
Okay.
as of yet, Mayor. That's part of the engineering to be done.
Gotcha.
We're just getting everything in place so we can jump on it right when the plans are designed.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions? And if not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agreement is necessary for the developer to reimburse the city all costs associated with the extension of natural gas main facilities to serve the proposed site. This agreement between the owner-developer, Great Valley Commerce Center, LLC, and the city is an estimated amount of $181,900. City Attorney's Office has reviewed and approved this agreement, and council's approval is recommended.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Michael on this item? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Next item, sir.
Thank you. The gas system is requesting the purchase of a new horizontal directional drilling machine, a vacuum excavation machine, and supporting equipment. We requested sealed bids and received 2. Ditch Witch of Works of Forest Park, Georgia, submitted a bid of $499,995, and Vermeer Southeast of Marietta, Georgia, submitted a bid of $515,000. The purchase of this equipment will provide the capability to install larger diameter pipes in longer lengths under roads, rivers, and other various obstacles that would not be possible with our current equipment. It will also minimize downtime having 2 machines available. Our current equipment was purchased from Vermeer Southeast in 2013 and has served us well. Training for this type of equipment is highly specialized and specific to each brand of machine. Also, some of the supporting equipment and equipment to be purchased is compatible with our current machine. We believe having 2 brands of machines therefore is not feasible, and it is our recommendation to accept Vermeer Southeast bid of $515,000. Which is $45,000 under our budgeted amount and only 3% over the low bid. Council's approval is recommended.
And Mr. Dixon, you do feel this is the best qualified bid
Yes, yes, sir.
Of the two bids?
Yes, sir.
Mainly because of the training, the repairs, and that you're using the same type of equipment you're already using?
Yes, and having our people familiar with that type of equipment, you know, it's vital to the operation of the machine, so.
It's also interchangeable parts that you can use on some of that.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can just tell from the council, I know the gas department's helped fiber department save thousands of dollars by using this machine, as well as, you know, which is, it's an expensive machine, but it's used often and saves money. The other one.
And we are using it across departments when needed?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Any other questions or discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
That'd be to approve the best bid?
Yes.
Best bid, yeah.
I'm seconding
15.
to approve the best bid.
Okay. Very good. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Hampton, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here on behalf of the Electric Department, requesting authorization to purchase a 3,000 kVA pad mount transformer. This is to satisfy the loads of one of our top 3 industrial customers. It's a little larger than what we normally buy, but the reason being is it does not get a cool down period. Normally, transformers operate in cyclic motion, so they're up and down. These stay up all the time, and heat kills transformers prematurely. So we're trying to keep from having to buy transformers by buying one that's a little bit more stout in the beginning. So we requested several bids. A lot of them did not respond, gave us no bids. The one we decided to go with was the UTB model. It was only $23 more than the lowest purchase price, but it was a 30 weeks sooner delivery time. And the purchase amount for that one was $81,755. And this transformer will be here under the next budget. It is included under the proposed budget.
And Mr. Hampton, because of the delivery time, you feel that the higher bid was the best qualified bid?
Yes, by $23.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the best bid.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Greer, actually, while you're making your way up, walk real slowly. Council, we're going to have to add 2 items to the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to add those 2 items.
Motion to add 2 items to the agenda.
Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 2 items added. We'll deal with those later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is for replacing the carpet at the new Fibercom office located at 500 South Tennessee Street. Total cost for the repair is $22,512.44 from Cartersville Flooring Center. This is not a budgeted item, but the funds are available, and I recommend this for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. You're going to have windows in that building? You'll be able to see
Nope.
outside?
No windows. I'm used to it. I'm in the
Still,
basement of
I
CMO.
figured you're going to get upgraded for being out and down and underground.
We've upgraded to ground
Baby
level.
steps. Baby steps.
Right.
Next item.
This item is a budgeted annual support renewal for our CrowdStrike Falcon Complete security software. This is what we use to protect city computers and servers from malicious software and malware. Total amount is $64,053.50 from CDWG and is recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Chief Carter, you are up. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I bring before you this evening a budgeted single source project. This is a rolling rack hose management system. We deal with what we call LDH, a large diameter hose, which 5-inch hose, a section of hose filled with water weighs just under 1,000 pounds. Draining that hose gets us down to approximately 200 pounds per section. This management system will allow us to be more efficient. Instead of taking 4 firefighters to load a truck, it actually cut us down to 2. Also reduce our potential for back injuries dealing with such heavy weight, especially after a fairly long firefight that this hose has been deployed. So we respectfully request approval to purchase this system for a total cost of $9,340, which includes shipping.
Does that crank roll? Or
It
do you
does.
still have to hand roll? Because I've
It
seen you guys
does.
hand roll those after use. And
Currently,
like I said,
we-
I didn't know they were 200 pounds because they make it look a lot lighter than that, but that's.
Currently,
quite a
we
task.
hand roll by bending over or crawling on our knees manually. This will actually allow us to crank it, also be able to evacuate all the water out of the hose, make sure the hose dry before it gets put back up on the truck.
Great, thank you.
I have one question. Is this like one system for one station that we're gonna move it around, or how's that?
Yes, sir. This will be used, this particular system would actually be housed at Station 1. Anytime that we have a working structure fire, or for example, a large exercise at the training center, or even doing our annual hose testing, then we would deploy it in the later stages of that call or whatever. Yes, sir. It's one system for the entire department.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. The next item is Bartow County Emergency Management has approached the city and asked us to acknowledge a recent local emergency operation plan that they have adopted. The local emergency operation plan, or it's better known as LEOP. Bartow County is responsible under Title 38 through the Georgia Code that they're responsible for emergency management from the state. And Cartersville, falling within the parameters of Bartow, we are covered under Bartow County's emergency management. This is their local emergency operations plan. Now, I don't want there to be any confusion. Several years ago, we did adopt Chapter 8.5, which is an emergency management chapter within our own city ordinances. There is no conflict between these two documents. Our ordinance simply supports their ordinance that is mandated by state law. For any reason that there would ever be a failure to where the county could not declare a disaster or there was a loss of communications, our ordinance simply allows us to stand independently as long as we had to protect us. All they're asking for, they're not asking for any form of endorsement. They're respectfully asking that we acknowledge this new updated version of their LEOP. So that's what we would be doing, is respectfully requesting tonight for the mayor to be allowed to sign that document in acknowledgement of the county's approval of that document.
And this is being asked of all the cities.
Of all the cities within the county of Bartow, yes.
Okay. So the motion is, Keith told us in work session, there needs to be a motion to acknowledge.
Yeah, motion to authorize the mayor to acknowledge the LEOP.
Okay. If there's no discussion, that motion would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the mayor to sign an acknowledgement of the local emergency operation plan for Bartow County.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Forsyth, you continue to make people mad, and I guess that's why you're always at the end of the agenda.
I knew I was being punished.
Save the best for last, right?
That's right. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The CVS Pharmacy on West Avenue, it was built and put in service in 2009, December of that year, and they were have inadvertently been charged for a 10-inch sewer service monthly minimum since that time. Up until March of this year, we've corrected that to a 1-inch sewer service minimum, but we owe them a credit of $41,258.61. I did contact the owners there, and they have requested that we refund them, cut a check for a refund rather than an account credit on that, and I am requesting that you allow the city to do so.
Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to, are we refunding or we're crediting?
Refunding.
I make a motion to refund these funds back to CVS.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir, this last item is the final closeout, the final project closeout change order for the water tank painting on Fairview Street. You see the photos there. That photo was taken today, actually. This is a project you approved about 1 year ago to repaint the exterior of that entire tank, actually to strip the old paint off, the old lead-based paint, dispose of it properly, and then re-prime and recoat that entire tank. And the ladder structure you see there is all brand new as well. We had to put a safety climb ladder structure back on it.
Remind me what the life of that work, when's the next time this will have to be done again?
We have to look at it and evaluate it every 10 years. The previous coating on there was 1999.
Okay, thank you.
It was put on. This final change order represents a credit of $35,000 below the contracted price of $546,200, and brings the total final price of the project to $511,200, and requesting that you be allowed to sign the final change order and close out this project.
Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the change order.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. We do have the 2 items added, and I will turn it over to Mr. Porta for the first one.
Yes, Mayor. The first one is a contract for performing services with Ailey Wilkins Youth Association. He provides athletic, social intervention, and educational summer program for the youth of Cartersville and Bartow County. Excuse me. He's already started a summer program for this year of 2022, and the contribution that we've given him in the past has always been $18,000. This is going to be on next council agenda. Just moved it up one agenda so we get his funds next week approved. Once he submits all his paperwork, but I recommend approval of this contract for performing services in the amount of $18,000.
Yep, this is an increase. This is just getting him to him, writing one check instead of 2, and
Getting it to them about a month earlier.
Yeah, and so yeah, there's that, and then if you want to put a condition in there pending, well, I guess you're not going to cut a check until all the paperwork's in anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
So-
he's got to submit the paperwork for that to be done.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Final item, please, Dan.
Yes, sir. The other item is the City Hall elevator outside the door here. Basically, this building was built in, I think, 1984, sometime in the 80s, and has not been renovated ever since. They've been maintaining it for a number of years, but it's due for some renovation, and we've obviously have public meetings here. We have the municipal court, and in order to have handicap access to this floor and also second floor, we need to have the elevator in good working condition. Before the elevator breaks at some point in time, where I was had Connie Salter spend some time with Public Works to take a look at that, get some pricing for us. The price of that, if we prepay it, is $94,946 to do what they call modernize it. There will be some additional costs for electrical work later on. The approval master for this evening is this to prepay to TKE, which is the old Tyson company, for the elevator upgrade to $94,946, and it'll be a 12 to 14 week lead time. This will also lock in the price, so if there are any price increases later on, then we wouldn't have to pay for that. So I ask for council approval of that. We do have money in this year's budget to pay for that.
And you said prepaying saves us a couple $1,000s?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Is there any other business that needs to come before council this evening? All right, step forward and your name and your address for our clerk, please.
Mr. Mayor, council members, Eric Solgard, 32 Lakewood Court, Cartersville, Georgia. I'm here tonight on behalf of the amazing people of our Cartersville Pickleball Club with our ambassador, Dwayne Loftus. We are here asking for help. We are in desperate need of our own pickleball courts. We appreciate the parks allowing us the opportunity to play on the temporary courts at Dellinger Park, but they are cracked. There's a lot of dead spots, dilapidated nets, and we have just outgrown the space. We have upwards of 50, 60, 70 people playing pickleball at any time here in the city. So we don't have any hard numbers here, but we are just asking for help and a pathway to our own dedicated courts. I've got 3 quotes to end. One was an older lady that plays with us, she's brand new, said, "Eric, this makes me feel young again." We get that often. A second quote was, Eric, when I come through here, the BP down the road would never get my business if I wasn't coming through to play pickleball. And the third quote is, there's new courts being built everywhere, Cherokee County, Ball Ground, Rome. There's new ones going up at Burnt Hickory for Paulding County. And this individual said, I just can't play here anymore because there's just better places to play outside the city, and they live here in the city. And we're just trying to keep our people here playing with us in our city as opposed to going outward and using other people's parks or facilities. So that's what I've got. I don't do this very often, so excuse me for...
Well, you know, we do have money that is in the budget for pickleball courts in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
When we talked about that back last fall, we discussed that. The other thing is, to my understanding, y'all were offered a dedicated space over in Atco where there's courts over there, and pretty much we're told that y'all didn't want to be out there. Now, if something has changed as far as that goes, if you're going to talk, you got to come and put your name on the... Sorry.
Come on, Dwayne.
Dwayne Loftus, Bassford, Bartow County. The good thing about Dillinger is Century located for everybody from all over, from different areas to come down the highway to play at Dillinger. Atco is off by itself, now really good access into Atco to play. And the other thing is there's restaurants around Dillinger Park within miles to eat and so forth. So that's why a lot of people enjoy that, because they can go walking, picnic, whatever, right there at Dillinger Park. Like I said, Carrie's been down there to see what it's all about. You're all welcome anytime you want to. I got paddles for you to come out and play ping pong. That's what you think it is, that it's exercise and fun. But we do need something down there. The courts are dead. I don't want to lose the people we have. I want to bring people in. And the only way we're going to do is get dedicated courts.
When you go to the tennis court to play pickleball, the first thing you see is sign up for tennis. Nothing pickleball related. And it's hard to bring new people in, and they look at those courts and like, oh, okay. So people are walking and slipping in cracks, and it's just not a great place to play. So we're not asking for anything now, but we are asking for some pathway to dedicated courts for ourselves.
Okay. And like I said, this time next year, you're probably going to have, I would think you would have.
There's some, I don't remember the number of courts, but we have money budgeted, and the council heard the first reading of the budget tonight.
Okay.
So the next reading, June 16th, if they approve that, it'll just be a matter of when Tom Gillum, the Parks and Rec Director, kind of gets started on that location within inside Dillinger, I think.
And that should be 6 dedicated courts.
Yes. Awesome.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank
There's
you
the
very much for your
path.
time.
Appreciate it. One of these
play.
days I'll get out and
I
play.
got a paddle for you anytime.
All right.
Come on out.
Take you up on that.
Gentlemen, before you leave, if you will, please make sure that you sign in with your name and your address. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Any other business that needs to come before council tonight?
I just want to make one follow-up comment from last meeting concerning the Dothert Ferry project and the public comments that we received through GDOT. I think the perception is that those comments are falling on deaf ears, and I don't want that perception to be held. I think those comments are very valuable to us as a council and to us as a city, regardless if they're not technical in engineering aspects, but that they are the opinion of residents and citizens of our city. I think they do carry weight, and so I think that they are important. I just want to make that clarification that we do listen to citizens, and that should be the primary. I mean, I think that that's who we should listen to primarily as an elected person. That's who I want to listen to, the constituents that I serve, and so carry that in weight with what our city administration and who know the ins and outs of how we run the operation here. So I just want to say that publicly, that we do. I think those are weighty, that we do give them weight, and they do matter. So if anybody's out there that has that perception that we don't listen to citizens, want to dispel that.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion tonight? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There you go.